Hey, hi, hello, I go by the name of Isma.
I go by the name of Chris.
And ladies and gentlemen, ooh, I'm excited, bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited because we have our main man.
Our main man?
I feel like everybody we're going to say our man, but this is our main man. Okay, we have Chris Crawford in the building today on the Creative Brief.
Yes.
Now, for those of you that don't know what the Creative Brief is, this is a platform where we hear stories and hang out with our fellow creatives, gain insight into their process, and share knowledge to hopefully help you through your creative journey. So without further ado, do you need a drum roll? What do you need? What do you think?
I mean, a drum roll would be bad.
I mean, we'll add it in, okay?
Cue the band.
Cue the whole shebang, right?
Cue the drum line.
Crawdaddy.
What's up?
Bro, what's good?
Chilling, man, chilling.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm just honored to be a part of this new journey for you guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
This is
Well,
what's up.
Thank you for being here
Oh, no doubt.
on such short notice. You know, had
That's the only way to do it when you're creative.
Yo, what are you doing this day?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, great.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but like for me, like when it comes to creativity, like I don't get creative until the 9th hour.
100%.
Like backs against the wall, it's like, oh dude, if we could get like $10,000 worth of fog blower machines, like we could, this is awesome. I know how to do it now. A week ago, I'm like, I don't know.
Deliver the next day.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't know how to make it any better. Yeah.
This is why Amazon Prime exists, Crawford.
Right.
100%.
True. And Adderall.
And that's exactly right.
And now we're promoting drugs.
Not sponsored by Adderall.
or
this
Amazon or Amazon Prime.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
Dude, I want to get into it. I want to, because I don't think people we're in Mississippi, and this man's like a legend in Mississippi. Okay, and you two have known each other longer than I've known Crawford. Right. But
Oh, wow.
dude, let us in on who you are, what you do for those that don't know you. What's really good?
So I'm Chris Crawford, and right now I'm sitting in this luxurious studio, and I need to take 5 to say, Daisy, stop talking about the movie. My kids are in the other room, because I'm a dad first. But no, so I'm 38. For like the first 15, 18 years of my adult life, I had a career in the medical industry. Did medical management, was in the military, and just through a series of really strange events and relationships that I created with people, like I kind of got thrust into this creative position, a lot of times seemingly by accident, and it just created a situation where like the majority of my time prior to was spent on learning the medical field, learning management, learning how to, all the latest and greatest in the new technologies, all the changes in healthcare. And it began changing to the latest and greatest in camera technologies and how to shoot videos and how to edit better and how to be creative. Yeah. And so I was spending 8 to 5 every day working in my job, and then from like 9 at night till 3 in the morning editing videos. Yeah. And literally burning the candle at both ends. And so just around June of 2018, it was like I need to make a decision. What's it going to be? And had some opportunities come up, and I'm like, you know what, let's do this. So just went full time doing video and photography and creation, just being a creative, which is really sounds kind of funny saying that, but yeah, it's just something I really enjoy, and it just happened, meeting guys like Chris, and it's funny because my wife is a school teacher, and her very first year of teaching school, he was in her class.
I was a gift.
Yeah.
To her class, you should say.
Right. Yeah. I, because of kids like him, the first day of school, I tell all of her new students, I'm like, please be nice to my wife, because when she's mad at you, she takes it out on me. So Chris, thank you for giving me that line to tell to future generations.
I still want to call her Miss Crawford to this day. Yeah. And even though we're we're all adults now.
Sure.
It's a habit I can't break. I call you Chris all day.
Right.
But I can't just be like, hey, Candace. No.
Forever Miss Crawford.
Yeah. We have, my wife and I have 2 11-year-old boys at home. They're both in her homeroom class now. And the other day we were outside, and my mother-in-law was there, and we were talking, and my son says, "Yeah, well, we were in Miss Crawford's room the other day." I'm like,
we were in Mom's room.
We were in Mom's room.
What are you doing?
Like, so even he calls her Miss Crawford.
Right.
So, yeah,
are you in Miss Crawford's house now?
What
are you talking about?
So surreal, you know. But yeah, so that's kind of, you know, Chris and I got hooked up, and you know, that's kind of how Westburg Films actually came about. You know, even the name, like the name is directly related to mine and Chris's relationship. So, you know, it's been a really cool adventure from the start, and you know, looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Well, let's break this down because you just hit so much, and we know a lot about you. I feel like this is the theme where, like,
of course,
we know a lot about the guest, but how did you get? First of all, how do you go from the medical field into dabbling in video, and then starting your own wedding videography business? So kind of walk us through this journey, how you got thrust into something that you're very good at now.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I'm my own worst critic, and I would probably argue with you that I'm not really good at it, but I appreciate that. And I hope one day I'll become better. Each and every day I want to be better. So anyway, so I've always been interested in technology. Technology has just always been one of those things that comes natural to me. I stink when it comes to like reading a book and understanding something and being able to do it. But let me put my hands on it. Time out. All right, we're back. Thanks to our sponsors, Adderall and Amazon Prime. So anyway, so I've always been really interested in technology. I've never been a good book learner. You know, I was always middle of the road student. You know, I was always been a hands-on learner. And so technology was one of those things where I could put my hands on it and figure out a problem and I could fix it. And so fast forward 2003, I'm in the military. My wife and I have been married a year, going on our 2-year anniversary. I'm about to turn 23, and my unit got deployed to Iraq. So before we deployed, like, I bought a Dell laptop and I bought a Kodak digital camera. You know, because I wanted to have that technology. And at that point, like, I'm making military money, so like we balling, you know. And so I get those. I take those overseas with me, and I end up becoming the photographer for our unit. So I take all the historical documentation photography for our entire unit, all the projects, all the missions, all the stuff that we did. And so that was kind of my first dabbling in photography, and it was nothing really creative, more than just capturing the moment, you know. And then fast forward to 2008, we had our son in 2007, 3 days after Christmas. So 2008, we're coming up on really his first Christmas, and I bought Candace a little Sony camcorder, a Panasonic rather, handy cam. Like,
shout out to all the camcorders that have ever existed.
Exactly.
They influence us all.
And I bought her that, had a little tripod, and unbeknownst to me, she actually bought me a MacBook laptop as well. So the night before Christmas, I give her gift because I wanted to document Jackson's first Christmas. Right. So there we go, Christmas morning, and I open a laptop, a Mac at that. And I'm like, oh my, my mind is just blown. So I'm sitting in my mom's living room, Christmas night, going through my MacBook, checking out all the fun stuff, and I find iMovie. I'm like, oh wow!
iMovie is the GOAT. iMovie is the GOAT. It's definitely the starter pack for videographers.
Yeah, that was exactly right. So like, I took the SD card out of the camcorder, put it in, like started a timeline, made this like really cheesy video of our first Christmas, put it to Alvin and the Chipmunks song that I found
you still have it?
Oh yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. It's on it's my first one of my first videos. Yeah. And so that's kind of where it started, like just with that little cheap camera and a MacBook, not even a MacBook Pro, just a MacBook. And, so then I started shooting everything. Like, I'm filming everything. Yeah. And, family vacations and silly videos, just you name it. And then a few years later, I meet another guy at my medical job who his wife's a photographer. She's got all the best, 5D Mark III and all the lenses, and we get an opportunity to make some medical education videos for this company. Then his daughter's getting married, so he asked me to DJ his wedding because I was doing a little DJing. I'm like, sure, no problem. Why not? It'd be fun. Yeah. So I get there to DJ, and he's like, oh, by the way, would you film the wedding too? So I'm literally...
Why not?
Why not? So I'm literally filming a wedding and DJing at the same time. Yes. So like I can remember like yesterday, I'm filming the first dance, and I hear that the first dance song is about to end, so I have to set the camera down on a tripod, run over to my mixing table, flip the track to another song so the dance can keep going, come back and keep shooting.
Wow.
So that was my very first wedding video that I ever made. And it worked out pretty good, you know. It's my first wedding, and it's something I look back on, and you know, I didn't even make a lot of money off of it. It was just something that was fun to do. And so you know, just from that experience, and then meeting other people who needed video things, and they knew that I did it, and they knew I didn't charge a lot because I'm just learning it. Yeah, it just snowballed. Just meeting people, networking with the right people that believed in what they saw in me and the potential, and it just kind of went from there. And the very first like really paying wedding that I did was from another friend of mine, and it was supposed to be he and I and another guy to film the wedding. And like 2 days before the wedding, he's like, "Oh, we can't go. We got something else." So I'm like, "Wait, so I gotta shoot this by myself?"
So your second shooter just bounced.
My second and third shooter bounced.
Oh.
And it's just me. So.
Great. Oh God.
So yeah, I'm like, well, I saw this guy on Facebook, Chris Franklin. Like, I know he does some photography. Like, how would I call him and see if he could help it up? Yeah.
That guy.
So I call him up, and sure enough, he's available. So he and I go shoot this wedding together. And man, we learned so much. We learned so much about each other, about the skill set that we had. And you know, we learned a lot of the wrong things. You know, I learned a lot of what not to do.
100%.
Like, it's funny if you listen to the raw audio, the in-camera audio off of Chris's camera. Literally the whole time he's like,
Bro, first off, let me give context. Crawford gives me like little information on this wedding, right? So, I love that.
I'm just ready to hear how this goes and where this goes.
So Crawford gives me little information on this wedding.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a traditional indoor wedding because I've done photos, and you know, so I get there, all black, not sweatpants, black jeans, like long sleeve shirt. This is an outdoor wedding. It is 96 degrees and humid outside. So I'm holding the camera, and it was just tears and sweat mixture.
It was great.
But it was great. It was one of the things that helped launch a lot of things for us, to be honest. Like, even people saw that and was wondering if we wanted more photo, and they saw that wanted more video, and it was nothing but just raw talent between the both of us. Like, there was no formal training.
None.
Yeah.
There was just grab a camera. This angle looks cool.
Yeah.
This is what we think we need. And I mean, I've done a couple weddings, never filmed a wedding at the time, but
get ready to do this.
Yeah, you just thrust into it. I mean, I remember, you know, this place was beautiful. It had a nice creek running through, you know, over the bridge, under the bridge, and all this stuff. Like, we're down in the water, kicking shoes off. We're down in it, like getting the shot, you know. And I mean, that video kind of launched. You know, she had friends who started calling, asking for wedding, and so it just literally just snowballed, and it became a thing. And then before long, you know, we had to form a company to get a website so that we could market ourselves. And we're racking, trying to find out like the coolest name. Like, we're trying to figure out the best name.
Everyone worries about the name and like the logo of their company.
Important, you know, that we get something cool or whatever. And like Westburg just became it because like I live in West Marion School District. We went to West Marion. And he's in Hattiesburg. So I'm like,
he texted me. He was like, "What about Westburg Films?" And I was like, "That's genius."
That's it. You know, and so that's how it started. You know,
dude, that's wild.
And we just been going ever since. You know,
so there's just so much to process in this story. But how did you feel when you transitioned from just passion to professional, especially when you had to shoot medical videos, and then had to shoot wedding videos? Because for me, like, and I tell Chris all the time, I'll watch old vlogs or I'll watch old videos that I've made, and when I'm making them for fun, I'm not analyzing anything, and they're dope. But now that I have more of a critical eye, I'm like, I could have done this differently. I could have done this differently, and sometimes it prevents me from creating because I have to. I push myself to like learn more before creating. And sometimes I have to like escape that, or else I'm not going to create anything.
That's right.
So how did your mindset change when you went from family videos to medical videos to weddings? That shift from passion to professional.
So for me, the transition was a lot. It was drawn out over a long period of time because I was able to still do my profession while I was pursuing the passion, the hobby. So you know, the stress of like meeting deadlines and you know, making sure that it's like on point. Like those things weren't as heavy to me because I knew that I had like on Friday I was getting paid like from my job.
Right.
You know, so there was really the stress part was a lot less then as it was in June when I decided that I'm doing this for a living. Like this is going to put bread on my family's table. Like I've got to feed my family with this talent, with this skill set. So as a passion, a hobby, as a side hustle, like it was like, oh man, this is fun. This is free. I'm like, I don't mind staying up till 3 a.m. editing and being creative and whatever. When it became the real, like the normal, the daily grind, it was like so much anxiety.
What happened then? So that's what I'm interested in. What happened when it became the profession? What's been challenging?
So I mean, like it's the anxiety level has changed. Initially, like right out the gate. Yeah. And it actually took a little while for the anxiety level to kick in because when I really went for full time, like I had a plan. Okay, I had some clients that were lined out that I knew they were going to be some, you know, more full time type clients. That I knew that I was going to have money rolling in, and once those projects began to die out, and that steady money that I was kind of counting on became less steady. It became very evident to me that, you know, now I got to go out and beat the bushes. Now I got to go find the clients. Now I got to find people that see the value in what I do, so that they're willing to pay me to do what I do for them to enhance their business or their look, their image, their whatever. So that's when the anxiety really kicked in. And in my kind of niche market of, you know, wedding videography, you know, weddings are for the most part seasonal.
Right.
You know, there's a very big ebb and flow with weddings. And so come November, December, and January, it's like,
you just kind of,
oh, mercy. You know, like literally, I remember telling my wife the second week of January, like, all right, which fast food restaurant's hiring? Because like, I think I'm fixing to start flipping burgers, you know, because we had, you know, I'd saved up enough money. I had a nice nest egg to fall back on. Well, Christmas, you know, and you got to take care of the family, and we do Christmas big. Like we don't halfway do Christmas at all. Like my wife and I still buy we compete against each other. Like I think we spend more money on each other than we do on the kids. And I'm huge. Like I'm gonna open a present on Christmas. Like I better have a present under the tree, and it better be big. You know, like that's just it. Just is. It's just kind of how, you know, where we came from. My wife and I both came from humble families that were, you know, middle class, lower class. You know, my dad was disabled early on. You know, they didn't have a lot to give us. So, so we decided like it was going to be a big deal for us. And so, Christmas came around, and then, you know, Christmas is gone. We're past New Year's, and I'm finishing up some of those projects that I had on the plate. And now it's like, okay, when these are done, like I got to find some other, you know. So that's when it kind of became getting a little anxious.
Well, now it's a business.
That's right.
Now it's not just this thing that you do at 3 a.m. in the morning.
That's right.
But there's layers to it outside of just creating.
Absolutely.
Which I think a lot of people forget. If they're trying to go into the creative field, it's like, well, I'm a creative and I'm going to just shoot this video, or I'm going to just take this photo and I'm just going to, but if you're, and the audience is kind of spread out. So you have the solopreneurs, you have the people that are working in agencies, you have the freelancers. But someone like you who's a solopreneur, like your business, you run it from the first client meeting to the last delivery. There's a lot of things in between starting the creative process that you have to go through, like going to the client, like having to pitch, almost like, hey, this is what I do. That's true. This is my portfolio. Do you like this? And then hearing their needs, and then translating that from a price point into something that can fit their needs.
Because the wedding world is interesting, because people see that's their day, and you know, your style has to complement what they want from their day, or you know, they chose you based on what you personally do, or how like your film and how your film and like story actually looks. So that's kind of a hard thing to market, you know, because like, hey, I'm in this particular style, and some people are like, well, I don't like that, or you know, I want my wedding documented this way, or I want to do this and this.
And like I said earlier, like I am my own worst critic. Like, you know, I never feel like it's done enough. And so with that, bearing that in mind, imagine trying to go to a person and like promote yourself. You know, it's really hard to tell somebody how great of a product you can deliver when you still are your own worst critic and you still feel like it's never enough. And the business model kind of, or the creative model that I have adopted and that I'm comfortable in, that I own, is that, you know, there's a lot of people that have a style. Right. You know, their videos, their photography edits, like they're all, you know, they're different subjects, they're different locations, but their style, their color, their feel, they're very similar. They have a style that people go after. I refuse to make anything that is just like the last thing. You know, so I have to be able to show clients what we've done, but at the same time let them understand, like, this is what we can do, but this is not what you're going to get. You know, because the way we work is we find the most creative, unique way to tell your story and do it differently. I'm not going to I don't have a cookie cutter template laid out on my computer and I just drop your files in it and boom, here's your wedding.
Would you say that their wedding kind of speaks the creative into life?
Absolutely.
Versus you having, and of course everyone has a recipe on how they create stuff, like specific type of gear they use, specific type of, you know, editing software that they use. But I think it takes real talent to be able to capture something and then let it speak into the edit. Right. Is that what you would say happens with weddings?
100%. And I tell the clients that when we meet, like, you know, because they always ask, you know, well, can we pick the music we're going to use? Can we, and of course the answer is always yes, as long as you're willing to, you know, if it's a song by, you know, somebody on the radio, like if you're willing to pay the copyright cost, then sure, we can use that song. Right. Yeah. But, you know, we get enough information, as much information as possible out of the client. So we know who they are, and we understand what they're wanting. Like, you know, what's the most important aspects of what we're shooting. But then when we're there, like, you know, if they're like buck wild partying and having a blast at the, you know, they're like letting it all hang out, then that's going to dictate kind of the flow and style of the final edit. You know, if they're party hard, you know, they might not have some super melodic, beautiful, slow. You know, we want to present the day in such a way that it is a reflection of how the day was, and that doesn't get figured out until we shoot it. Yeah, you know, we know going in the shots that we want to get, the things that we need to focus on, but how we tell that story is 100% based upon who they are, who, you know, and you can know somebody going into it, but you don't really know them until you're in that room with them, and it's, you know, the bride and her 8 bridesmaids, and they're saying things that totally make you blush. Yeah. And because girls are nastier than boys, like by far. It's so funny. It's so
shout out to all the females.
Shout out to all the
female fans.
Yeah, they make me blush and all. You know, but yeah, 100%. The day, the event, the experience is what drives ultimately the creative direction and flow of the final product.
I want to touch on that because I think that's very powerful. Because a lot of our audience may be younger, and getting into the creative field. Sure. And some, as creatives, we're just gonna put it out there, we have sometimes the largest ego when it comes to our work. I know you say that you're your worst critic, and Crawford is probably one of the most humble people that I've ever met in my life.
100%.
But something that I want to touch on very quickly is Crawford said that he gets to know the client, he gets to know their story, and he lets their story kind of communicate through the edit. Something that a lot of creatives kind of early in their career don't do is they try to prove that their craft is the best to tell that person's story versus getting to know who their client is, getting to know what their client needs, and translating that into a creative. If you take away something from this particular discussion, it's being able to have a good foundation for discovery, to really get to know who you're serving and why they need your service, and translating that into that. I think that was really powerful. You touched on some other stuff.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, you know, one of the things that, you know, I always tell my clients, the prospective clients, like, you know, I encourage them to go out, you know, find YouTube videos of other weddings that you've seen, other friends that have had it. I don't want you to send me links to my videos. Like, I want to see some videos of some other people, like, so that I can get an idea of what you have in mind. Like, where is your bar? Like, what your expectation is, because I want to know. Yeah, no, I want to know where your bar is, because this is where I want to hit. And like, if the bride or the bride's mother, or in some cases the groom doesn't cry when they watch it the first time, like I feel like I failed. So, you know, I have to put my wants and my vision sometimes aside for the sake of their vision and what they want, because at the end of the day, it's their video, you know, it's their project, and this is gonna be something that they're investing in, and they're gonna watch for the rest of their life. I want what's best for them. I want what they want. Period. Hands down, you know, above all else.
But that's not easy to do.
No.
And I think that comes with experience, and that comes with being in that professional space a lot of the times, because especially if you, for me, what I've had to learn is, like, if you don't have a process, just a way in which you go about doing things, and then you allow the client's story to kind of dictate your edit, you're going to find yourself creating something, sending it to them, and them saying, this is completely not what I wanted.
That's right.
Because this doesn't speak to the goals I want to achieve with this product. This doesn't achieve the story that I want to see from it. So I just think that's very powerful for you to say, because that takes a lot of humility as a creative to be like,
absolutely,
I know how to create, but it's different to be able to create something that they want to see versus something that you just want to do. Now, on your own projects, I'm sure you do that.
Sure.
Which ties into kind of what I wanted to ask next. How did you learn those things? What are some things that you've learned thus far through your career that you think are just essential, like the discovery process with the client?
So the way I learned it was by messing it up. You know, you always hear people say, you know, learn from other people's mistakes. But I mean, let's be honest. It's not human nature to be like, he failed, so I'm not going to do that. No, you got to fail. Yeah. Like, I'm that guy. Like, oh yeah, you might not have done it, but I can do it. Yeah. And then when I fall on my face, that's when I learned the lesson. So failure obviously is a big teacher. You know, but the other thing that I have learned probably more than anything else is you've got to master your not your craft, but your equipment. I mean, let's be honest, as a creative, we can't do the creative things that we do without a camera or a computer or a software. And in today's society, I mean, I was just on Twitter last night, tweeting with a company that is going to be attending NAB 2019 in Vegas, and I'm going to that, and they were, you know, they were telling me, hey, come by our booth, check out our product. So I was researching their product, and their product literally, basically presented itself like we are the one-stop cure-all for color grading. Like, it's literally a click of the button and it's color graded, you know? And I know from experience, I've already dumped hundreds of dollars into LUTs and presets and classes on and software upgrades, third-party plugins for my softwares, because they were the one-stop shop for color grading, for grading everything. So, and I still haven't mastered color grading, which I don't think you ever master anything really, but I still struggle, again, being my own worst critic, with my color grading. And so the one thing, like, I would tell people that are getting into the creative field, people that are just starting out, maybe where I was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, is you can throw all the money you want to at something you want to learn, at something you want to do, that's something you need to know. But until you master your camera, until you master your, you know, you can bleep this out, but you need to make your camera your bitch. You know,
we're not bleeping nothing out, man.
Right? Yeah. Well, my mother may watch this, so bleep that out.
Okay, for moms, we'll bleep it out.
Right,
we'll bleep it out for moms.
Love you. So, you know, whether you've got the Canon T5i or you're walking around with a red dragon or whatever, you know, if you don't know how to work a camera, the camera's not going to do it for you. It's just not. I mean, the camera is a machine that you have to know how to make what is an aperture, what is a shutter speed, you know, what is ISO, in what situations do you need to do those things. I have so many times put down a camera that was fully capable of doing something to go buy a bigger, better, more expensive camera, thinking that it was going to fix the problems that I was having, only to find out that I now have a more expensive camera that still doesn't do what I need it to do. So, throwing money at a problem is not the answer. Of course there's value in better equipment, but unless you know how to work that equipment, you're just throwing money away. There's McKinnon and some of these other guys that are on YouTube. They do videos all the time, like a photo with the Sony A7 III and a photo with like the low end 2000 model Sony, and it's like which one was which, and even the professionals can't tell, because it's lighting, it's lenses, it's composition, it's depth perception, it's foreground, background, all of those things matter, and you can still achieve those things. But you got to understand those things. And you're not going to understand those things by buying another more expensive camera.
Right.
This is interesting because last week we talked about the common denominator between you and where you live. It basically, like, your work and where you live is you. Like, no matter where you live at, you're going to be the common factor.
Sure.
And it's the same with the camera. Like, if you don't understand your basics, if you don't understand the foundation, the composition, the lighting, how you should, and even editing, post-production is huge. Post-production can make a $200 camera feel like a $3,000 camera, but it's all in your mindset. Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to put the hours in? Are you willing to immerse yourself in how bad you really want it?
Right.
Because that is people will make up the most excuses in the book. I would, if my camera could just shoot a little bit more in low light, I would do night photography. If my camera could, why aren't you practicing anyway?
Right. Or if I could go 120 frames a second.
If I could do 120 frames, then I'll start doing slow motion. But you have 60 right now.
That's right.
But you could do 60 right now. And that's some of the greatest excuses that are out there. And
I want to tell you, and that's a lot to do with it's a first world problem.
That is true.
It's our culture. I mean, that's true.
100%. When I was in the military, we went to Belize, and we were building a schoolhouse in a very poor village in the bottom peninsula of Belize. We were literally 100 yards from the beach on the coastline. We're building a building, and we had some locals there helping us. And our generator, it was low on oil. And so we go to the trailer where our tools were, and nobody could find a funnel. And so literally, we're ready to shut the job down because we can't run the generator without oil. We can't reach the oil inlet because of its location, and we don't want to spill oil everywhere. So we're shut it down until we can find a funnel. And this local Belizean who's lives in impoverished conditions, third world, so to speak, he comes up and he's like, no. He takes a paper bag, a concrete mortar bag, rips it off, cleans it off, shapes it in the shape of a funnel, and sticks it in the opening. He's like, here, pour. We don't think like that. We don't think about what's in our surrounding area and how can we use that to accomplish what we need. Right. Simple things like, we think we have to have the Rhino slider to get that nice slider shot. But if you just put the camera on a table and sit it on a towel and just pull the towel, you get the same shot.
It's the same exact shot.
And so, if you're fortunate enough to make money at this, you think you have to spend that money to get those same style shots. And to some degree, there are things that a towel on a kitchen table is not going to get you. But literally one of the best videos that I feel like was the most creative from movement and angles and things I shot was when I went to the mountains, when you guys started doing the Mox Challenge, and I shot a coffee video. And literally all I had was my 6D and a Gorilla Pod, and I was having to use the kitchen cabinet, the drawers. And
I remember texting you about that. I was like, "How'd you get that angle? Or how'd you get that?"
I literally had the camera in the drawer, was pulling the drawer away from the coffee machine and dragging it on a towel, and putting the camera inside the cupboard and opening the cupboard door to reveal myself. I was forced out of my element to find creative ways to make the video because I didn't have all my gear with me. And truth be told, when I have all my gear in front of me, I don't feel as creative because it's it all sometimes can be a hindrance because you're not forced to be creative and figure out a way to do things better because you got all your gear at your disposal. So the thing I would really hope that young people or new creatives that are considering this industry or even doing this just as a passion or hobby, whatever, would take away is like don't think that you can throw money at a skill or a trick that you want to learn and it's going to fix your issues. Like you've got everything you need at your display. If you've got a camera and you've got a light and you've got a computer, you have everything you need.
That's right.
You know, you really do.
A lot of people, even so, one of the things that I would kind of justify, and I'm sorry, one of the things I would kind of justify is like, you know, if you're getting into portrait photography and you only have an 18 to 55 millimeter lens, that's like f, 4.5, people ask, I'm like, hey, spend $100, spend $200 and get the little nifty 50. That's, f 1.8. And if you want to blur the background more, learn some Photoshop skills. Even if you have the 18 to 55 and you want a portrait look, you can use what's at your disposal to make, it isn't always a money barrier. And that's kind of the thing that we've been fed in today's, like, whether it's advertising, whether it's a new iPhone, this iPhone's better because this camera does a little bit more than this camera. And you're like, oh, obviously I need the new one because I want to take pictures now, or I want to take these kind of photos. When you have something that can do almost the exact same thing, and like getting the new thing, getting the new equipment is not going to make you do more. That's something me and Mo and I talked about. New iPad came out. I was obsessed with iPads now. Still am. Don't get me wrong. Still am. But all of a sudden, I was obsessed with an iPad. I'm like, I can put my workflow on this. I can do this with the iPad just because it's new. When I have a brand new iPad Pro that I've never touched, I've had it for a year. And the difference between the old one and the new one is new.
That's right.
And I'm like, it's gonna make me do so much more. So I wouldn't get that's a big takeaway. Don't get too caught up in getting the newest stuff, getting the newest tech, the newest gear, because you can make do with what you have. That creative energy can come from anywhere, and you can use exactly what's in your environment to like just make art, make the things you love.
That's it. Use what's at your disposal and make that sucker your bitch.
God, Mom is gonna be so mad at this video. But aside from making the suckers your bitches, why do you continue making the suckers your bitches? Why do you continue doing what you're doing? Why do you enjoy what you do?
There's something to be said about doing something that evokes a response from other people. I did a video one time for my church, and it was a pastor appreciation video. And I interviewed like his grandparents, his parents, his brother, the staff members at the church, some of his closest friends. We went out and I had his brother, like we went on scene at all these locations around town that he had these very memorable experiences with his brother growing up, his younger brother. And like we made this really, to me, it was a really good video. We used like infinite black backgrounds and was using lighting and like did a really, really good video. And just so happened the day that the Sunday that the video was to be played, I was flying back home from Orlando from a business trip, and so I couldn't be there for the unveiling of the video. And like that's like, as a creative, for me, that's one of the hardest things to do, is to not be there when somebody sees your product for the first time, because once they've seen it, after that it's just another video that they get to watch. But it's that raw initial emotional response that you get to see that gives you this gratification that I did that. And it's not a pride thing, it's not an ego thing, it's not because you want to hear their praises afterwards, but it's just like literally I want to be sitting behind a shrub or something where nobody can see me, and I want to be looking at their face and watching them watch what I just made. Like that is one of the biggest motivators. Like I said, I want the bride or the groom or the bride's mom to cry when they see the video for the first time. Like there's no greater feeling than to know that what you did, like it superseded their expectation. It did it. And it's that, it's that feeling that makes you always want to come back and do better next time, because you want to get that feeling again. But even more than that for me is, those two kids sitting there, hogging your Wi-Fi, watching Netflix right now in your kitchen. There's no greater responsibility on earth to me than being a dad, than being a father. You look at my Instagram, you look at my Twitter, you look at my YouTube, like in my bio it says, you know, when I leave this world, the only thing I want said about me is that he was a great dad.
Right.
Like that is, you know, that is my job, my responsibility. And so being able to do this full time and being able to get that great feeling from people's responses and reactions to what I create is amazing. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that I can provide a living. Speaking of which, yes, darling. When are we going? Whenever I get through talking to these people, you want to say?
I promise we're almost.
Do you want to say hello to the camera? That one right there. You little camera hog. Go back in there and watch your movie, okay? I love you. So yeah, that's why that right there.
I just want to pause this for a second. That was not staged. None of that was staged.
None.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the second time she's coming here and asking.
Yeah, there you
that.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it's for them. I mean, you know, I mentioned, you know, my dad was disabled when, you know, we were a young age. So, you know, he wasn't able to be the provider that he wanted to be. So we were poor. I mean, just to be honest. And, you know, there were a lot of great lessons that came from growing up poor. You know, I don't discount that at all. But, you know, I want to be able to provide for my children the things that I wasn't able to be given. Right. But not in such a way that they become spoiled brats and you know, take those things for granted. Like I want them to understand the value and the hard work that went into that. Yeah. But, you know, I do it for the gratification and the feeling that I get when people watch it, but I do it for them because I want them to have the things that I couldn't have. I want the security of knowing when I lay my head down at night that I don't have to wonder about, you know, where's, you know, or dread having, I got to go to work tomorrow. Right. One of the greatest men that has ever influenced my life, you know, told me very early on, somebody heard him, a patient ask him, you know, how long have you worked here? He's like, I've never worked a day in my life. Mm-hmm. You know, he said, this is what I love. I come here to do what I love. It's not work. Mm-hmm. It's what I love. And, you know, I try to treat the creative aspect of what I do. It's not a job. You know, I have the flexibility to do. You want to sit with me? Is it okay if she sits with me?
Please.
Come right around here. Okay. She had to go get her iPad. You know, I don't have to worry about that 9-to-5 grind. I get to work, make my own hours. I get the freedom to, you know, if one of my kids is sick, I get to stay home from school with them. You know, I get to help take care of them. I get to stay awake at night and work at night, you know, and that's because that's when I'm most creative is at night. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't interfere with getting up and going to work the next day. Right. So, you know, those are the things that keep me going, that keep me going with it, keep it fresh, keep it exciting, and make me want to, you know, do bigger and better things each time.
Well, I know Daisy's ready to go.
Yeah,
so we're gonna close this thing a little bit, but I want to recap for the audience on some really powerful things that you said, just that can help them out. Again, we're seeing this theme where creative kind of, the way Crawford put it is he was kind of thrusted into it. The way we say it is it pulls you in. But the really important thing about creative, when you find it, when it's clicking for you, is to really enter into it and learn through mistakes and learn through failure and challenge yourself to grow through that creative. Another thing that Crawford touched on was the second you transition from passion into professional, it's not really about you anymore.
That's true.
It's really about the client, about the client's needs, and about why they want to portray whatever it is that they're trying to portray through the element that you provide. So being able to establish a really good discovery is very important. Something that we've been saturated with, especially in the video world and the photography world, is it's not about the gear. Like, it's not about the gear. It's about being able to be a practitioner in your craft. And it's a wicked cycle. So if you're not a practitioner, you won't be able to know if you don't have a portrait bokeh. But the second you become a practitioner, you can identify, oh, my f-stop is too high, therefore it's not blurry. I need a new lens. So the more you become a practitioner in your craft, the better you can understand what you're using, the better you can create. And what I think is the most powerful that you've touched on is why we do what we do is for impacting other people's lives. Yeah. It's the ability to give people value. So if you're doing it for reasons that are selfish, I'm sorry to tell you right now that it's just going to be a short journey, like it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's not about we want to see brides cry or we want to see clients show off our videos. It's about we want to know that we were able to help them reach their goals and that they were satisfied with what we were able to give them. And the last thing is personal and financial freedom.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we keep doing what we do. And it's not easy. We're on the struggle bus some days, you know, because you have to continue to learn. But the more you learn through those failures, through those obstacles, the more you grow individually and the more you're able to give value to other people. So I think that's everything. Did I touch on everything pretty correct?
Yeah. I think so. I think we hit everything.
And Daisy runs the show,
Daisy
I think.
Is the CEO
of Crawford Films.
Of the creative brief today.
Right, of the creative brief today.
You know, one thing I didn't mention, and I think it probably goes without saying, just because of the four people that are sitting on this couch right now, no one person can be a practitioner in every aspect of 100%. This field.
Facts.
So it is imperative that you surround yourself with people that are more talented than you, that have better gear than you, that have more experience than you, but not so much from the perspective of now you get to become a leech on them and soak up. You've got to be able to be a practitioner in something, whether it be how to run Lightroom, how to work Lightroom, or how to work Final Cut or Premiere, or how to work your camera. Right. You've made it your B, or lighting or audio. What you need to have enough confidence in at least one area, and then find people to bring into your circle that possess those other skills that sharpens your skills. You know, the scripture says iron sharpens iron. You know, I would not be where I am today had it not been for people like Chris Franklin, like Mo Ismail, you know, like
the most humble guy, guys. Like I mean it when I say that.
Yeah, but I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I agree with you.
I talk to brides all the time, and when I show them some of our videos, like the first thing I do is I'm like, all right, this is the one Chris edited. Like, this is Chris's video. You know, Mo shot this. Like, this is Mo's. Like, this is our team. You're not hiring me. Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, I'm trying to sell you our product. But you're buying a team of creative people that know this field, that are able to create content that is going to move you.
100%.
And so you have to be able to find those people, surround yourself with those people, rely on those people, and give those people your skills as well, to create just that culture around you that breeds creativity and breeds better and better products each time.
And that's how you scale, but that's a topic for another video.
Absolutely.
Maybe with Crawford down the line, where we tackle how to scale a creative business. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, what do they need to do, bro?
They need to hit the like button.
They need to hit the like button, or
wait, Daisy. Hey, if they like this video, what do they need to do? Tell the camera what they need to do.
Hit that subscribe button. Is there anything else you want to tell them?
Anything else you want to tell them?
So hit that subscribe button. Chris already told you. Hit a like if you like this. Share in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, what other topics you want us to talk about. And double tap that dislike button if you dislike it.
It happens. It happens.
But make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment, and we will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
That was cool.
Well done.
But hey, I do have one, like, I think business kind of venture tip for you guys. I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys have, like, you got Mox. You know, you're doing Mox. You know, MOCS, perfect square logo.
Okay.
Like, I think Mox should be a thing. With two more C's.
Okay.
Like, so you got
C,
Mo, Chris Crawford. See?
Okay.
It's still, you know.
We're gonna cut the tape on that.
Yeah.